Have you ever noticed that long before your mind chooses to move on, your body already has? One morning you wake up and realize you're tired. Not physically, but existentially. Tired of explaining yourself, tired of spaces that once felt normal, tired of emotional patterns you've already outgrown, even if you can't name them yet. Nothing dramatic happened, no major decision, no clean ending. And yet, something inside you quietly shifted. Stoic philosophy teaches that transformation doesn't always arrive through force or motivation. Sometimes it arrives through alignment. When your body, your nervous system, and your inner values begin rejecting what no longer belongs. This isn't weakness, it isn't confusion, and it isn't a spiritual illusion, it's recalibration. In this video, we'll explore 7 clear signs your body is releasing the past, not through words, but through instinct, fatigue, calm, and silence. If you've felt this quiet shift within you, stay with me. You're not losing yourself. You're shedding what you no longer need. Sign 1. You feel tired of explaining yourself. At some point, something subtle changes. You don't become louder. You don't argue harder. You don't rehearse better explanations in your head. You simply feel tired. Tired of justifying your choices. Tired of defending your boundaries. Tired of turning your inner world into a presentation so others can approve it. What makes this confusing is that nothing is technically wrong. People may not be attacking you. They may simply be curious. Yet every time you begin explaining yourself, your body tightens, your energy dips, your chest feels heavy, and afterward you feel strangely drained. This isn't laziness, it isn't arrogance, and it isn't emotional shutdown. It's your nervous system refusing to keep betraying your values. Earlier in life, explaining yourself felt necessary. You wanted to be understood, you wanted harmony, you wanted to avoid conflict or rejection. So you learned to translate instinct into acceptable language. You softened your truth, you added context, you apologized for decisions that never required permission. But growth changes the cost of that habit. As you mature, your body starts noticing something your mind once ignored. Every unnecessary explanation hands your authority away. Each time you over-explain, you subtly place yourself on trial. You signal, without words, that your inner compass needs external validation. Stoic philosophy is uncompromising here. A person aligned with their principles does not argue for their right to exist as they are. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself that the work of a human being is to act according to reason and virtue, not to persuade the crowd watching. When your body grows tired of explaining, it's because it has learned a deeper truth. Clarity doesn't need commentary. Notice what replaces the urge to explain. Silence, shorter answers, fewer emotional footnotes. This isn't coldness, it's efficiency. Your system is conserving energy for what actually matters. Action, integrity, direction. You may also notice discomfort when others no longer understand you. That discomfort is real. But here's the Stoic insight: misunderstanding is not harmful. It only feels dangerous when your identity depends on approval. As that dependency weakens, your body stops cooperating with old scripts. It refuses to produce adrenaline for debates that don't change outcomes. It refuses to tense for conversations that lead nowhere. This isn't avoidance, it's discernment. You are physically learning that not every question deserves an answer, and not every curiosity deserves access. This sign often appears quietly. You pause mid-explanation and think, I don't actually need to say more. And for the first time, your body agrees. That agreement is power. It means your sense of self has moved inward. You no longer need to convince others to feel real. You don't need permission to choose differently. You don't need applause to remain steady. The exhaustion you feel isn't from growth. It's from outgrowing. And when you stop explaining yourself unnecessarily, you don't become invisible. You become grounded. Sign 2. Old environments start draining you. There comes a moment when places you once tolerated or even enjoyed begin to feel heavy. Not dangerous, not dramatic, just quietly exhausting. You walk into familiar rooms and feel your shoulders tense. Conversations that once passed the time now leave you empty. Background noise feels louder, small talk feels longer, and when you finally leave, you don't feel energized, you feel relieved. This shift often creates guilt. You tell yourself nothing is wrong. These are good people. This is a normal place. You remind yourself that you used to be fine here. So why does your body now react like it needs to escape? Because growth isn't polite. Your nervous system doesn't care about nostalgia. It responds to alignment. And when you change internally, environments that once matched you may no longer do so. Earlier in life, your body learned to adapt. You could tolerate chaos, distraction, emotional inconsistency, even subtle disrespect. You called it flexibility. You called it being easygoing. In truth, it was survival. Your system stayed alert because it had to. But as you mature, tolerance drops. Not because you're weaker, but because you're clearer. Stoic philosophy places deep importance on environment. The Stoics understood that character is shaped not only by thought, but by surroundings. You become like what you repeatedly expose yourself to. When your values sharpen, your body becomes less willing to remain in places that dull them. That's why the exhaustion appears physical before it becomes logical. You may notice fatigue without an obvious cause, irritability that surfaces only in certain settings, a subtle pressure in your chest that lifts the moment you leave. These are not random sensations, they are signals. Your body is reporting misalignment. The mind often tries to override this. It argues for practicality. It says, just endure it. It says, don't be dramatic. But the body has already done the calculation. It knows the cost of staying small, of staying alert, of staying filtered, and it's no longer willing to pay that price. From a Stoic perspective, peace is not passive comfort. It is the result of living according to nature, your rational nature. When an environment repeatedly pulls you away from clarity, self-command, or dignity, the body registers it as a threat, even if nothing overtly harmful is happening. This is why the drain feels so confusing. You're not in danger, you're simply out of place. As this sign strengthens, you may begin choosing exits more quickly. You leave earlier, you visit less, you stop forcing enthusiasm. This isn't avoidance, it's calibration. Your system is learning where it can rest without vigilance. There is often fear here too. If these places no longer fit, where do you belong? The Stoic answer is simple, but difficult. Belonging follows integrity, not habit. When you stop arguing with your body and begin listening, something stabilizes. You realize you're not rejecting the past. You're completing it. The environments that drain you were part of who you were becoming, but not who you are now. Your body isn't asking you to burn bridges or judge others. It's asking you to stop standing in rooms that require you to shrink. This sign marks an internal promotion. Your standards have risen and your nervous system is enforcing them. Sign 3. You stop chasing closure. There is a quiet moment when the urge to explain one last time simply disappears. You no longer rehearse speeches in your head. You stop imagining the perfect conversation that will finally make them understand. The questions that once circled endlessly begin to loosen their grip. Not because you received answers, but because your body stopped asking. Earlier in life, closure felt essential. You believed that if things were clearly explained, the pain would resolve. If you could just say it better, softer, or at the right moment, something inside you would settle, so you kept returning to old conversations, old messages, old memories, searching for a clean ending that never arrived. What changes during a Stoic awakening is not the past itself, but your relationship to it. Your nervous system eventually learns that revisiting old emotional loops does not bring relief. It brings activation. Every attempt to finish the story pulls the same levers: adrenaline, tension, rumination. The body recognizes this pattern as wasteful and slowly withdraws its participation. This is why the shift feels physical before it feels logical. You may notice that when an opportunity for closure appears, an unexpected message, a chance to speak, a reminder of what was left unsaid, you feel nothing. No urgency, no pull. Sometimes not even anger. Just a neutral awareness that engaging would cost more than it gives. This is not numbness, it is completion. Stoic philosophy teaches that freedom comes from focusing only on what lies within your control. Other people's understanding, remorse, or recognition were never yours to command, yet the mind clings to them because it confuses resolution with control. The body eventually corrects this mistake. Epictetus warned that suffering intensifies when we demand outcomes that belong to others. Closure, when outsourced, is one of those demands. When you stop chasing it, your energy returns. Not all at once, but steadily. You sleep more deeply. Your thoughts slow down. The constant mental replay loses urgency. This is the body reclaiming resources that were trapped in the past. There is often a strange grief here. Without closure, you may fear something remains unfinished. But Stoicism offers a harder, more liberating truth. Many chapters end without punctuation, and waiting for it keeps you tethered to what no longer exists. As this sign deepens, you may also notice a change in how you relate to memory. The past grows quieter, less charged. You can recall it without being pulled back into it. This is not forgetting, it is integration. Your body has learned that closure is not a conversation, it is a decision to stop investing emotional energy where there is no return, a decision to end cycles through action rather than explanation, a decision to carry forward only what strengthens your character. This is why the urge fades. Instead of resolving dramatically, the system simply lets go. No ceremony, no confrontation, no final words. And in that letting go, something powerful happens. You regain sovereignty over your inner life. You stop waiting for the past to release you. You release yourself. That is not avoidance, that is mastery. When the body no longer chases closure, it has already chosen peace over repetition. Sign 4. Your nervous system rejects chaos. At a certain stage, chaos no longer feels exciting, familiar, or tolerable. It doesn't even feel dramatic anymore. It feels unsafe. Not loudly, but biologically. Your heart rate shifts when conversations turn volatile. Your breathing becomes shallow around unpredictable people. Your body tightens in environments where emotional intensity is normalized, and the moment you step away, something inside you exhales before your mind catches up. This is not sensitivity. This is intelligence. For a long time, your nervous system learned to survive instability. You adapted to mixed signals, emotional spikes, unresolved tension, and constant noise. You told yourself this was normal. You called it passion, intensity, or just how things are. And your body complied because it had to. But growth rewires what your system is willing to endure. As your inner life becomes more ordered, chaos stops feeling stimulating and starts feeling corrosive. The body no longer produces adrenaline for unnecessary conflict. It no longer wants to stay alert in rooms where clarity dissolves. Instead of engaging, it pulls you away. Stoic philosophy understood this long before modern psychology named it. The Stoics believed that a disturbed environment creates a disturbed mind, not because the world is evil, but because constant agitation erodes self-command. A person seeking virtue must protect their inner equilibrium. When your nervous system begins rejecting chaos, it is enforcing that principle without asking permission. You may notice this in subtle ways. You lose patience for drama that once pulled you in. You stop arguing just to be right. You disengage from conversations built on outrage, gossip, or emotional escalation. Not because you're superior, but because your body refuses to fund what it can no longer metabolize. There is often confusion here. You may wonder why you can't handle what you used to. The truth is, you no longer need to. Your tolerance has dropped because your standards have risen. From a Stoic lens, peace is not passivity. It is the byproduct of disciplined attention. When your nervous system rejects chaos, it's signaling that your attention has become more valuable. You're no longer willing to scatter it across every emotional fire. This can feel isolating at first. Chaos creates false bonds. It makes intensity feel like intimacy. When you step out of it, relationships may thin, conversations may shorten, silence may increase. But that silence is not emptiness. It is space. Space where your thoughts can finish themselves. Space where your reactions slow down. Space where your values are no longer constantly interrupted. Your body understands something crucial. Chaos keeps the past alive. It feeds old patterns, defensiveness, urgency, emotional overreaction. Calm, on the other hand, starves those patterns. That's why your system now recoils from volatility. It knows that staying regulated is not weakness. It is leverage. As this sign deepens, you begin choosing stability without justification. You leave earlier, you respond less. You decline invitations that feel energetically expensive, and instead of guilt, you feel relief. This is not withdrawal from life. This is refinement. Your nervous system is no longer willing to be trained by disorder. It has chosen steadiness as its baseline, and in that choice, the past loses another grip, because chaos was one of the last places it lived. Sign 5. You crave simplicity, not stimulation. There comes a moment when the things that once distracted you stop working. The noise, the scrolling, the constant input, the endless options. None of it satisfies anymore. Instead of feeling entertained, you feel overstimulated. Instead of relaxed, you feel restless. Your body begins to ask for less. Less information, less social friction, less artificial urgency. What replaces the hunger for stimulation is a quiet pull toward simplicity. Cleaner spaces, slower mornings, fewer conversations, but deeper ones. You don't need to announce this shift. You simply feel better when life is reduced to what matters. Earlier in life, stimulation felt like energy. You chased novelty because it kept discomfort away. Noise drowned out reflection. Constant engagement prevented stillness, and your body adapted by learning to tolerate excess. But tolerance is not the same as health. As your inner world stabilizes, your nervous system starts rejecting cheap stimulation. Endless scrolling feels draining. Multitasking feels chaotic. Even entertainment can feel heavy if it exists only to numb. This is not boredom, it is discrimination. Stoic philosophy draws a sharp line between what nourishes the soul and what merely excites it. The Stoics warned that excess weakens discipline and blurs judgment. They practiced simplicity not as deprivation, but as training, removing what distracts so attention can strengthen. When your body craves simplicity, it is applying that wisdom instinctively. You may notice physical cues, headaches after too much screen time, tension after consuming too much information, a sense of relief when you turn things off. These are not signs of fragility, they are signals of refinement. Your system is learning what it no longer wants to process. There is often resistance at first. Stimulation is familiar. It fills the silence. It gives the illusion of connection. Letting go of it can feel like losing part of your identity. But what you're actually losing is dependency. Simplicity brings something stimulation never could. Coherence. When life is simpler, your thoughts align, your emotions settle faster, your actions become more deliberate. You no longer react to every impulse because fewer impulses compete for your attention. From a Stoic perspective, this is not minimalism for aesthetics, it is strategic restraint. The Stoics understood that the mind cannot govern what it cannot attend to. Reducing excess is how clarity survives in a loud world. Your body understands this before your mind fully agrees. That's why the craving feels physical. You feel calmer in quiet rooms. You breathe more deeply without background noise. Your sleep improves when evenings are less crowded. These are signs that your system is recovering from long-term overstimulation. As this sign deepens, you may also notice a shift in pleasure. Simple things feel richer. A walk, a meal, a focused hour of work. These experiences carry weight again. They don't need enhancement. Presence becomes enough. This is how the past loosens its grip. Old patterns thrived on distraction. They needed stimulation to stay alive. When you choose simplicity, you remove their fuel. Without constant input, old anxieties have nowhere to hide. Old habits lose their urgency. Your body isn't asking you to retreat from life. It's asking you to experience it cleanly. Simplicity is not emptiness, it is alignment. And when stimulation fades and simplicity remains, your system signals something unmistakable. You are no longer running from yourself. You are finally able to stay. Sign 6. Emotional reactions become shorter. There is a noticeable shift when emotions no longer linger the way they once did. They still arrive. You still feel anger, sadness, disappointment, even fear. But something is different now. The emotions pass through instead of settling in. You don't spiral the way you used to. You don't replay the moment for hours. You don't build an identity around what you feel. Your body processes the reaction and then releases it. Earlier in life, emotions tended to linger. A single comment could shape your mood for an entire day. A mistake could echo for weeks. You carried reactions in your chest, your jaw, your stomach long after the moment had passed. The body held what the mind couldn't resolve. But as you grow, your system learns a new pattern. Stoic philosophy never taught the elimination of emotion. It taught mastery over response. The Stoics understood that feelings arise automatically, but suffering is prolonged by judgment and attachment. When those attachments weaken, emotions lose their grip. That weakening happens in the body first. You may notice that when something triggers you now, there is a brief surge, tightness, heat, acceleration, and then it dissipates. Your breath returns. Your posture softens. The emotional wave completes its cycle without being interrupted or extended. This is regulation. Your nervous system has learned that it no longer needs to stay activated to protect you. The threats that once required prolonged vigilance, rejection, misunderstanding, loss of control, no longer define your survival. As a result, your body stops holding the charge. This can feel unfamiliar. You may wonder if you're becoming detached or indifferent, but there is a clear difference. Indifference feels flat. This feels clean. Stoicism frames this as freedom from being dragged along. When your reactions shorten, you regain authorship over your inner life. Events still happen, emotions still arise, but they no longer dictate your direction. There is also a subtle shift in how you speak about experiences. You stop saying, "I was furious all day," and begin saying, "I felt anger for a moment." The language changes, because the duration has changed. Your body is no longer feeding the narrative. This sign often appears after periods of deep internal work, whether chosen or forced. The system has seen enough repetition to recognize what does not need amplification. It has learned that staying calm is not avoidance, it is efficiency. From a Stoic lens, this is the practical result of focusing on what lies within your control. You cannot prevent the initial emotional response, but you can prevent its occupation. When you stop trying to control feelings and instead allow them to complete, they lose their power. Your body understands completion better than resistance. As this sign deepens, you may notice faster recovery after stress. Sleep comes more easily. Muscles carry less tension. You no longer wake up replaying yesterday's moments. The past has less access because it no longer produces a strong physiological response. This is what emotional freedom actually looks like. Not dramatic calm, not forced positivity, just shorter reactions. Short enough that they don't build prisons, short enough that they don't define you, short enough that life can keep moving forward. Your body is no longer clinging to old emotional residue. It has learned how to let feelings pass without turning them into identities. And in that release, the past loses one of its final anchors, because without prolonged reaction, it has nothing to attach itself to. Sign 7. Solitude feels safe, not lonely. There is a quiet but unmistakable shift when being alone stops feeling like something you need to escape. Silence no longer presses on your chest. Empty space no longer demands to be filled. Instead, there is a sense of safety, almost relief, in not having to engage, perform, or adjust yourself for anyone else. This change is often misunderstood. Earlier in life, solitude could feel threatening. Being alone meant being unchosen, unseen, or left behind. The body responded to isolation as danger. It sought distraction, connection, or noise to regulate itself. Loneliness wasn't only emotional, it was physiological. But as you grow, something reverses. Your nervous system begins associating solitude with regulation rather than threat. When you're alone, your breathing slows. Your thoughts organize themselves. Your muscles soften. Instead of searching outward for grounding, your body finds it internally. This is not withdrawal. This is stabilization. Stoic philosophy places great value on the ability to be alone without collapsing inward. The Stoics believed that a person who cannot sit with themselves will always be enslaved by external approval. Solitude, when chosen, is not emptiness. It is sovereignty. When your body feels safe in solitude, it's because it no longer depends on others to feel whole. You may notice that social interaction now requires discernment. Not all company feels nourishing. Some conversations feel noisy even when they're polite. You may leave gatherings without drama, simply aware that being alone restores you faster than being around people who drain your energy. This doesn't mean you've stopped caring. It means you've stopped overreaching. From a Stoic perspective, healthy relationships are additions to a stable inner life, not replacements for it. When solitude feels safe, you're no longer using connection to regulate unresolved tension. You're choosing connection from fullness, not need. This sign often arrives after letting go of people or roles that required constant adaptation. Your body remembers the effort it took to stay aligned in those dynamics. When you're alone, that effort disappears. There is nothing to brace against, no vigilance required. That absence of tension is what safety feels like. There can be moments of sadness here too, not loneliness, but mourning. Mourning the version of yourself that needed noise to feel real. Mourning relationships built on dependency rather than respect. This grief is quiet and clean. It passes without pulling you backward. As this sign deepens, you may find yourself protecting your solitude without guilt. You don't over-explain why you need time alone. You don't fill every evening. You allow space to exist without rushing to justify it. This is not isolation, it is boundary. Your body understands that constant connection once served a purpose. It kept you anchored while you were still learning who you were. But now that learning has integrated, the anchor is internal. The past relied on attachment to stay alive. Solitude starves that attachment. When you can sit alone and feel steady, old patterns have nowhere to return. There is no void for them to occupy, no discomfort for them to solve. Solitude becomes a place of rest, not absence, a place of clarity, not escape. And in that quiet safety, your body confirms the final truth. You are no longer carrying the past with you. You have learned how to stand on your own ground. These 7 signs are not warnings. They are confirmations. They don't mean something is wrong with you. They mean something old is finally loosening its grip. Not through force, not through analysis, but through alignment. Stoic philosophy reminds us that real change doesn't begin with dramatic decisions. It begins when your inner world reorganizes itself around truth, when your body stops cooperating with what weakens you, when your nervous system chooses clarity over chaos, simplicity over stimulation, steadiness over repetition. The past doesn't leave all at once, it leaves in layers. Each time you honor these signals instead of overriding them, you strengthen the part of you that no longer needs to survive, only to live well. So don't rush to explain this shift. Don't try to name it too quickly. And don't pull yourself back into places your body has already outgrown. As the Stoics understood long ago, peace is not something you find. It is something you practice by choosing what you no longer carry.